What does it take to live a life filled with unquestionable kindness, unconditional love, and unwavering vision? What makes a person so extraordinary that their virtues become lessons for all of us? Welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful and I am glad to be here. Today's episode is really going to be a celebration to us and a reflection, really. It's a chance to honor somebody that was an extraordinary individual to me and to share with you and to explore some of his virtues that can guide us all. Last week, my bonus dad, Jim, and I'll call him Jim throughout this episode, he passed away. And he had been married to my mom for almost 40 years. Now, I don't see this as a time for sorrow or sadness, but a time to celebrate a life rich in lessons and virtues I think can inspire all of us. In remembering him, I want to focus on those three qualities that can be a roadmap for our lives: unquestionable kindness, unconditional love, and having a faith or a vision that transcends even this life. So let's talk about Jim. His kindness was something remarkable. Imagine living a life and during your life, you say, I've never heard Jim say a negative thing about anybody. You see, it wasn't merely politeness. He had a deep-seated compassion that made him never utter a negative word about anyone, or I don't think anything. Even though he had immense trials, tough trials. He had lost 3 of his 4 children, all in early, much earlier, much before he had passed. But in spite of all that, he remained a beacon of positivity. He treated everyone with respect, everyone with empathy. He really showed the world what true kindness is, not only a virtue, but it can be a way of life. 2 was unconditional love. Loving unconditionally is something we all strive for, especially in today's world. But Jim lived it. His love for my mom, his children, my siblings was unwavering. And it was a love that didn't even waver, no matter what was going on. So this kind of love teaches us to embrace each other wholeheartedly, without reservations, without judgments. We can love our neighbors. To preface the third virtue, you remember a story that I've told it in an earlier broadcast several years ago when somebody came into me and said, Lee, I have to share a story with you. I love to hike at high elevations, and I was out hiking at Colorado up around 10 or 11,000 foot, a couple inches of snow, and I'm trudging along. And all of a sudden I hear somebody coming from behind. I was alone till then. He said, I turned around and looked, and here's this man coming up. So I sped up. So I can't let him catch me. But pretty soon he was alongside of me, and I looked over at him, and it was a man in his 70s. And he said, I can't let this happen. So he sped up even more, and he stayed on his heels for a while. But he couldn't keep up, and he finally stretched out his arm, reached out and touched him, and he said, man, what drives you? And the guy paused for a second, thought, and he says, my vision of the future. My vision of the future sustains my present agony. Now, that's number 3 for Jim. His vision of the future got him through anything. Now, what brought me to this thought is I was out working out, doing intervals on the mountain last Saturday. Steep hill, and after several intervals, as I'm going up the hill, it's beautiful because it crests, but all you see when you look straight up the hill is beautiful sky and clouds. And I thought, my vision of the future is sustaining my present agony right now. But then I thought of Jim, and I said, that's it. His faith, his vision of the future, his vision of something beyond this life, the glory that can bring him. It sustained him through his life challenges. It's what motivated him and inspired him to have unquestionable kindness, to have unconditional love, and to get through the tough things. His belief in a better tomorrow and the goodness of people and that higher purpose gave him strength to stay the course. Even no matter what, even through daunting obstacles. Now, this is not just a lesson of somebody's remarkable life. These are principles that can guide all of us. Whether we're facing personal challenges or seeking to enrich our relationships, we can draw inspiration from these virtues. So I'm going to say, let's begin in gratitude. Let's stay in gratitude. Let's live in gratitude. Let's embrace these virtues. And let's flow like rivers, attracting tributaries, nourishing life, and inspiring those around us. Until next Monday, let's have a meaningful day. Let's focus on those three virtues. Thank you for spending this time with me today. And we'll talk next week. Bye-bye.